service for government services, finance and women. So they're my 4 titles. And so obviously this is budget day, and so we hand down the budget, or Jim does it at 7:30, and the day is kind of pretty scripted from lockup to when the budget is released.
Hey everyone, I'm coming to you from the budget lockup. There's a room full of people here going over all the budget papers. There's an embargo until 7:30 p.m, but effectively until after the Treasurer has delivered his speech. We've been to the press conference, we've met with Katie Gallagher and a whole heap of people from Treasury, and it's been a good time.
7 elections have produced 7 different prime ministers.
Yeah.
That's not a great thing. You do need stability. So in areas like you talk about by the end of the decade, climate change is absolutely critical. And to do that, you need the mechanisms to stay in place that we've put there that are driving that investment into renewables.
Yeah. Okay, hi everyone. I just wanted to jump on because I know a lot of you saw on Instagram the last few days, curious in the Facebook group about how I ended up in Parliament House for the lockup and the budget lockup, and you might not even know what that is. And I thought I would jump on, have a chat, let you know a little bit behind the scenes. I'll overlay some footage of inside the lockup, and yeah, just kind of, I've got Kayla here who hosts our business podcast, This is Business, and I picked her up in the airport this morning and she's like, oh, can you tell me about the budget? I'm like, well, I want to do a little quick YouTube update for our viewers. So what about you just ask me about it? So Kayla, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you.
This is a bit of a random, weird kind of episode, but I was at the lockup and it was a full-on couple of days, and you had a heap of questions in the car for me.
I did.
So
first of which, what is a lockup? Why is it called a lockup? It sounds really intimidating and scary.
So the lockup, what it is, so each year the federal budget is delivered by the government of the day, and effectively what it is, it's it's more of a political statement about the agenda of the government over the next 12 months. And there'll be things that they release as part of that budget that isn't heaps financial, just maybe a change that they've made. But predominantly what it is, it's the government of the day saying, over the next 12 months, we know that there's probably this much coming in. We're going to spend it this way. And then they will basically release the budget based on that. So kind of like your household budget, which is really different, but effectively money comes into the government. Each year it gets to be spent and allocated.
Okay.
So,
forgive me for my lack of, I guess, political knowledge, but with the election coming up, could that, everything that they went through in the lockup, could that all change?
yes. So, and this was the weird thing about this budget this year, because before the cyclone Alfred kind of struck or whatever, went to your house in Brisbane, the government was ready to call the election and be full on in election mode, in campaign mode. They'd announced a heap of stuff, but the election hadn't been called and the budget was kind of already locked in. And so they had to do the budget where they hadn't really planned to do that because it would have been, Parliament would have not been on effectively. So within the budget, there was a heap of stuff that had already been announced.
Okay.
So that's kind of the vibe of the budget and the election. Now the lockup, what that is. So the Treasurer at 7:30 p.m, and it's on a Tuesday night, he will go into the chamber, the lower house, and deliver the budget speech.
Okay.
From about 7:30 till 8. Then effectively what happens, he'll go over to the 7:30 ABC show and do a post-budget interview.
Okay.
But as you are watching that live and when it kind of starts, you'll start to get notifications. If you like, I subscribe to the AFR and I have notifications. As soon as that 7:30 hits, you start to see all the Treasurer announces this, Treasurer announces that. And as soon as the budget's over at 8 p.m, Channel 7 News will run all this coverage with the changes that happened, all the newspapers and all that stuff. Now, to give the community and, democracy manifest, to give, journalists time to, and other stakeholders, like you might have the Financial Advice Association of Australia in there, you might have the Australian Institute of Company Directors in there, you might have all these different, call them lobby groups, associations, CPA, heaps of different companies and journalists effectively get access to the budget papers before it is delivered at 7:30 p.m.
Okay.
So what the lockup is you go into Parliament House and you're locked up basically all day.
Yeah.
You get to read all the stuff, prepare it all, and then all that stuff is under embargo until the Treasurer effectively delivers his budget speech.
Yeah. So were your phones taken off you
Yes.
and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
it's literally, you can have your laptop in there, but there's, in the room that we were in, there was 2 Treasury supervisors.
Yeah.
They would keep walking around to make sure your phone was on, your laptop was on airplane mode.
Yeah. Okay.
So within that lockup, it's just a chance to see all the stuff, and I can show you what they gave us, just go through it all, and then within the embargoed lockup, all the journalists, they do a full press conference with the Treasurer and the Minister for Finance, so Jim Chalmers and Katie Gallagher. They'll do a full press conference. I think it was like at 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was like 45 minutes. We got to go to that. And that whole press conference is under embargo.
Ah, okay.
So at least when 8 p.m. hits, the budget's over, turn on Channel 9 News, any media thing, if you're a member of an association or whatever that's been, you might get a summary of the budget at 8 p.m. on the dot.
Yeah.
Because it's been all prepared that afternoon and that day.
Gotcha. So it's a full day affair.
I think the lockup starts at about 1 p.m. till 7:30.
Okay.
So, and then, so basically with the lockup, it's literally you are not communicating with the outside world.
Yeah.
If you need to, and maybe it's more of a structure of how, and maybe I can take you through the practicalities of how I ended up there and the actual process of the day.
So was it more, usually it's for journalists? Because I did see a bit of things in the media. It's like influencers were invited. So it sounds like that's not the usual.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Journalists. So for example, when I prepare my budget episode each year on the podcast, I'll basically watch the budget myself, make my own notes, and then I'll watch the budget myself, make my own notes, and then the next morning, because obviously I'll do media myself.
Yeah.
So the night of the budget, I might do radio, what was delivered. So I need to make my own notes, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not in lockup.
Yeah.
And then I'll, the next morning, look at technical guides. So like if you're a financial advisor, you have access to different companies that give technical advice.
Okay.
So if I don't know something, I can call a hotline and say, this is the strategy.
Oh, wow.
Is this legal? Is it tax? Like all that. So
interesting.
The one that I lean on myself, it's been a Colonial First State or CFS tech guide. So usually I would just get a financial advisor friend of mine to say, can you send me the CFS tech guide that morning? Because obviously I'm not an advisor anymore, but it's this really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then I would, prepare the own stuff. So basically what's happened is, and I think potentially, I don't know this is me speculating, when Trump 2.0 took office, there was a big hoo-ha in the White House press gallery that for the first time they were letting influencers in to the press gallery at the White House.
I heard something, again, forgive my lack of political knowledge, but I heard something that they were being very strict with who they let in now, and that some journalists were not allowed to be let in.
Yeah, I think that's probably another more of a political thing. If you said something bad about Trump or he's pissed off, he'll just won't let you in.
Yeah.
So the White House can have discretion who they let into the press gallery.
Yeah.
And sidebar, that's why they think I think there was a news organization that was suing Trump at the time before he took office. They settled with him, and I think it was so they can still get into the press. Anyway, all that to say, Trump White House 2.0 for the first time ever, and we saw it leading up to the US election, where Trump would go on all the podcasts, Kamala would go on all the podcasts and try and talk to people.
Yeah.
Because most people now aren't consuming their news
Traditional media.
from traditional ways.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think, and then again, I don't know this, it's speculation. The ALP, and I'm sure the Greens, and I'm sure the Liberal coalition, Nats and all that, obviously have a digital strategy piece around elections.
Yeah.
So before the cyclone, when we were leading up to election, and honestly, if you're watching this, you obviously listen to our podcast and want to know the detailed gossip, the vibe of how all this came about. So it really is just bonus content on YouTube only. I was going to say, yeah. So before the cyclone, I had Adam Bant on my podcast.
Yes.
Because we're coming up to election. All right, tell me, what's your vibe? I was talking to the Labor Party as well, and they were looking at getting one of the PM or the Treasurer or someone on the podcast as well to just have a thing. And because I don't run a political podcast, but there are policy things that politicians make and democracy and all that. I really want people who might not ever see more than a 30-second clip of a politician to hear them for an hour.
Yeah.
Half hour. Just like, I'm not a journalist. I'm just I don't have a responsibility to be impartial. I'm just literally my audience. I know my vibe of my audience.
Yeah.
Let's just chat.
Yeah.
Take it for what you will. I don't have all the stuff to push back on any BS because I'm just not over it all. So,
and you open it up to the Facebook group as well, right? So it gives listeners an opportunity to literally ask a politician.
Questions. Yeah. So cyclone happened, then the budget was going to be in full swing.
Yeah.
So
were you guys like a consolation invite then? Like, were you invited prior to the cyclone?
Well, no, because we would have been in election mode and Parliament would have been dissolved for the term.
Okay.
So then the election would have happened, from what I understand, and correct me in the comments. This was a federal budget that kind of wouldn't have happened under the current government, because they would have gone to an election before it was delivered in March.
Gotcha.
So it would have been election mode. So then when the new government come in, they would then set the budget.
Yeah.
So there could be another budget depending on what happens later in the year.
Okay.
So that's all happening, and I think potentially as part of the new strategy of reaching people, the Labor Party was like, let's invite some non-traditional content creators or podcasters, influencers or whatever into the lockup.
So did you just get like an email in your inbox with an invitation? Or how does that work?
My contact who I was dealing with is part of the digital team.
Gotcha.
He reached out to me, texted me like, hey, we got this opportunity. Are you keen?
Okay.
So a couple of things there, and I won't say their names, but there's a guy and a gal. They have been awesome to work with, just from people. You know what I mean? Not political, just from two people doing their job.
Yeah.
Working with me, looking up. Like, it's just been great. So they're like, do you want to come down? And I was like, yeah, sweet. Like, because for me, I'm a politics nerd.
Okay.
Like, I watch 7:30 most nights if there's a political story or Laura's on there. I watch Insiders every Sunday.
You practice your Trump.
Yeah. Billions and billions. And I think we can make it great. I really do. Melina and I have got meme coins, and so
Once a week you practice and you're really into it.
so I'm in that world, and out of person, I've been to the budget before.
Okay.
In Parliament House with the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
Like, hey, do you want to come along? I'm like, yeah, sweet. So this time I'm like, yeah, absolutely, I'll go.
Yeah.
Because I'm a politics nerd. I want to do content. Hell yeah, I'll come down to Parliament
I think
House.
most people would want to, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone who said no, who declined?
I don't know, but I know one thing. I've always thought it'd be so cool to go to a lockup, even since I was like 20.
Oh, so it's been on your like bucket list.
Yes, I'm like, I want to go to a lockup.
That's cool.
And I'm like, hell yeah. I'm like, yep, let me know. All good. And then they're like, oh, we will. And this has been in the media. I've disclosed it on our post. I thought I would just go down myself, but they're like, oh, we'll organise the travel and accommodation.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweet. So
were you obligated to post? Was there any kind of agreement? Okay.
No. But so anyway, so I was like, yeah, I'll go. I'll fly down myself. I'll drive down myself, whatever.
Drive down.
Well, but this is the thing. It's 4 hours and a half from here, depending on flights. You know, we've just come from the airport.
Yeah.
That's 35 minutes. If I got to get to the airport an hour before we fly.
You may as well just keep on going.
Well, that's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I'm an hour and a half on the road. So
yeah.
Sometimes it is. Anyway. And they're like, yeah, we'll organise the flights and accommodations. And I'm like, all right, well, I stay at the Midnight Hotel. And they're like, no, they'll be.
And oysters will be brought to my room.
Yeah, that's right. They're like, no, the corporate travel team will arrange that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. All good. And like, I didn't send them my parking at Newcastle Airport or the Uber fee. Like, who cares? Like, I'm there if I had. But there were other people in the room that were actual journalists, new journalist. Like, I'll just double check this.
Yeah, so I guess off the top of your head, what was the kind of ratio of influencers to traditional media journalists?
Yeah, let me. There was people there from the Hidden Perspectives podcast and website, and they've got a big following and all that stuff, but they're not traditional media.
Okay.
I'll get to the kind of who was in the room. So I think I saw when she uploaded a reel or something, because we got a bit of heat from traditional media for going there. I'm pretty sure they declined to get paid. They funded their own way.
Okay.
They said, yeah, we'll come, but we'll pay our own way.
Okay.
Where I'm like, I'm not a journalist. I don't care. I'll come. Yeah, pay for me. But I would have gone anyway if they didn't offer that. So I accepted before I knew they were covering flights. So there's a few layers there for, personal goals and all that. So in terms of who was in the room, I'll just bring up a bit of a list.
And did you know the guest list before you showed up?
Oh my gosh.
What?
I've just got a message. Speaking of bucket list. You know how I wanted to do jury duty?
No.
I've always wanted to. And I got a letter in the mail the other day, you've been enrolled on the jury list. I just got a message. Your jury service has been deferred till Wednesday the 2nd of April. Oh,
that's next week.
It has, yeah. Anyway.
When were you meant to do it?
You need to attend if your request you don't need, that's the only thing anyway, weird. Anyway, I'm going to be a juror next Wednesday.
Heaven forbid the person whose case you're going to be judging.
It's not intense. I'll bring up the list. So in the room was Sophie from Equity Mates. So she produces the show. Daphne from Airing Your Dirty Laundry, which is a music podcast.
Oh.
Pretty sure. Millie Bannister from All Kind. She does a mental health charity.
Okay. So it wasn't just finance
No.
There was a very
No.
wide range
Yeah.
of content creators.
I'm just kind of going around the room. Emma from The Broke Generation, she's got podcast, Instagram. Molly from Ladies Finance Club. Tash from Tash Invests, who's got podcast, Instagram. Eilish or Ailish, I forget. Sorry, Ailish. From Mamma Mia. Hannah Ferguson, who's got the Cheek Media website. Alicia from Draw Your Box. Phoebe, Missing Perspectives. It was Missing Perspectives. And Alicia. No, I think I said Hidden Perspective. Sorry, they're not watching anyway. Tala from Women's Agenda as well.
So were you the only
Yeah.
man?
Yeah. So I think, I don't know if they admitted it to me, not that they cared. I maybe think where it was from that the minister, having total mind blank, Katie Gallagher, I think maybe she had invited some of these women as she'd been doing some work with them previously or something.
Okay.
And then the digital team, maybe they're like, oh, can we tack on Glenn to that?
Yeah.
Because there was a women's only budget dinner on the Wednesday night
Oh, okay.
that they were all there for. And
Right.
VD came down. She went to the women's dinner.
Okay.
She couldn't make the whole thing. So
Yeah.
big variety of group there. So the actual process of the day, we were to rock up at 3:00. So have you been to Parliament House in Canberra?
No.
There's basically, you go in through security, is like an airport,
Okay.
and there's like a big marble foyer. It's all like marble and really nice. And that's kind of public area.
Okay.
There's a cafe upstairs, the gift shop and all that. So you can kind of go in there and walk around. I went early and went up and had lunch. And then I think we met at 3:00. And then we all kind of had to get signed in as a visitor.
Yep.
And the two people from the ALP who kind of were our chaperones or organising it,
Yep.
they signed us in and gave us the passes.
Okay.
Now, then we go in back through the members only area, basically,
Ooh.
or the non-public area
Yeah.
that you actually have to be signed in as a visitor.
Yeah.
And the weird thing, because of Parliament House and security, at all times out of the rooms that we were in, we had to be escorted by them.
Yeah. Okay.
If I had to go to the toilet.
Oh, because the whole phone thing, or like
Well,
in case you.
It's not only the phone thing, it's more of a Parliament thing than a lockup thing.
Yeah.
Probably both for the lockup. But generally speaking, you can't be walking around with the visitor pass that we had without an escort,
Oh. Okay.
just for security.
Okay.
So we go into a room that was kind of set up just for us, put all our crap in there, and they're like, yeah, we'll be coming back here after. So the plan was originally to do the lockup.
Yeah.
Then at 7:30, go to the chamber and watch the budget read.
Okay.
But it wasn't, I think they maybe didn't know, or however,
Yeah.
but we actually couldn't, because we couldn't leave the lockup till after 7:30, after
Oh, of
the
course.
speech started.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, damn it. But
And how much lead time did you get, like from when you got invited to you being there?
I think it was, let me have a look, less than 2 weeks.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it wasn't just like, it wasn't super last minute.
No. Let me have a look.
And were there any kind of rules around you not being able to say you were going, or that it was happening, or?
No. Yeah, it was only a couple of weeks. So went into the room, they're like, okay, lock up. We're going up to lock up at 3:30. So 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 is like 4 hours.
Yeah.
So you've got to surrender your phone, no contact with the outside world.
Yeah, Big Brother.
Big Brother. So we all kind of, the 13 of us, however many were, went up into the lockup area.
Yeah.
So and we had to register with Treasury online and give all our details and show them our ID, who we are, we got a different pass that was for lockup and a budget fluoro sticker.
Okay.
So budget 2025, probably signals were in the lockup and a different color pass. So then we go through, and then at that point, and I'll put a video overlay, you'll see the bags, they had everyone's name with like Ziploc bags.
You know what this sounds like? It sounds like Squid Game.
Yeah.
As if you've enrolled into Squid Game and you're going in and getting your number and like your ID and your photo taken.
Yeah, pretty much. So all the Ziploc bags, and I'll overlay it. Went into a Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
Okay, James, flight mode, into a Ziploc bag, and they put everyone's phone in then the big black pouch.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Goodbye, life.
Then we walked around into a dedicated big meeting room.
And you weren't allowed to bring anyone with you?
No.
It was just you?
Yeah.
Okay.
We go into a room, and because the real journalists started lockup at like 1 p.m. is when it actually started. We were sharing the room with the Daily Oz. And so the team from the Daily Oz, there were 3 of them at the other end of the desk. Then we all rock up.
They're like the nice bridge in between the traditional media and you guys.
Yeah, they're like
neutral.
legitimately doing good journalism and good stuff that they're still not 100% recognized as traditional media.
Yeah.
So they were there, and then before we actually went to the lockup, they're like, all right, we can take you to the cafe and the supplies. So we got a holly for snacks and lollies and that.
Yeah.
And went up. I got a heap of chocolate just to give to everyone and all that stuff. So, and anyways, everyone sit down. Treasury read the things like, this is all embargoed until we tell you. We will be walking around to make sure your thing's always on flight mode, no Apple Watches, none of that. Like,
right.
If you need to go to the bathroom, let us know. We'll escort you, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll overlay kind of the room if I haven't already in post. But so and then basically within that, so I had my camera. So I could film.
Yeah.
Do all that because it's just under embargo.
Yeah.
We rocked up, there was a glossy brochure. That was kind of the glossy summary, which had no detail whatsoever. I was like, where's the freaking detail? And then they gave everyone a USB flash drive. And on the USB flash drive, they had all the budget files, all the press releases, the treasurer's speech.
Wow.
And because everything was airlocked.
What does it?
Oh, like you couldn't connect to the internet or whatever.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so... And all this stuff's made public after 7:30 anyway.
Yeah.
So so you get all the budget papers, everything, all his speech that he reads, everything on USB. And I go for it. And then at about 5.
Did it feel quite competitive with everyone like getting the same? You're all trying to race and read it like the quickest or something?
No, because everyone's kind of, Millie, she runs a mental health charity for Gen Z people.
Yeah.
She's obviously going to be heroing, okay, what's in the budget for mental health?
Yeah.
Where because there was all these different big meeting rooms in the lockup wing.
Okay.
So the next room, there was a heap of journalists, or the next room might have been the Financial Advisor Association or CPA or whatever. So
what do you think, like if hers was, the mental health angle, what do you think your angle was? Why do you think you were chosen?
Because I run a money podcast and it's the budget.
But there are a couple of other money people.
Yeah, it's weird. I was actually saying to so Jimbo and Phil, my friends, they're financial advisors. I'm like, it's weird that they invited me because I don't have the biggest Instagram, but I think because my podcast is quite big and, usually in the top 10, 20 in business. And I've been doing it forever.
I guess you do a budget episode every year as
well.
well.
I do a budget episode every year. Because I've been doing the podcast and all this public-facing stuff for 8 years, I think just people just start to know. And so for whatever reason, they invited me. So my thing was I just want to be there. I was joking to everyone. I was like, oh, I don't heaps care. I'm just kind of keen to be here and soak it all up. And if I do a podcast, I'll just use the AVC or the Fin Reviews summary anyway and give them credit. Like, I don't care. So I'm just like having a look. And the cool thing was though, the first thing I opened it and I saw like the first point income tax cut. I was like, what? And that's like the thing that no one expected. And because I've done this for like reviewed budgets for years and I follow politics, I kind of knew what was already out there. And
Yeah. Did you have anything that you were predicting to happen that did happen?
no. The tax cut was the surprise for everyone. Anyway, so on that, so the way I was distilling information, the first thing I did was had a look through the gloss, quick scrub through.
Yeah.
Then the first thing I opened was his speech
Okay.
and read his speech. I didn't open the budget papers or whatever, because I know in terms of the speech, because it's a political thing, I just want to read the speach.
That's kind of the synopsis of
Because
the
that's
whole
what
thing.
they're going to want to hear.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, yep, okay, tax cuts, this, that, non-compete stuff. And I was just making notes basically. And the podcast that I did on the budget, I wanted to do a different angle anyway this year and get an economist to talk about, step back, look at the forecast from Treasury and all that stuff. So basically then what happened, they took us down to the press conference. Now, at this stage...
So this is 7:30 now.
During the lockup.
Oh, okay.
So the press conference, remember, with the Treasurer, Jim Chalmers, and Katie
Oh,
Gallagher.
yes. Yeah.
They did that under embargo at 5 p.m.
Gotcha.
Or whatever. Yep. So they're, all right, everyone, we're going to walk you down to the press conference now. You can't ask questions. You're just observing at the back.
Okay.
Now, this was the wild part. At the end...
This is where it gets really juicy.
This was the fun stuff. So that morning, news got out that influencers were invited to the budget.
Yeah.
And on all the publications, like Hannah Ferguson was like the poster child of the influencer invited to the budget.
And none of you have any idea because you don't have.
Well,
phones or
I think they had
internet
seen it
or-
in the morning.
Okay.
But there was just rumors that it got out.
Okay.
And they're like, the traditional media is upset that they've got influencers there and all that stuff. And then the wild thing was, so the press conference, like if that's kind of the media wall where they'll stand there and talk to people.
Yeah.
The press gallery, they're all sitting there, all the press. And so I watch Insiders and everyone that I see who are on rotation in Insiders, they're all there. Like,
were you fangirling?
I was. I'm like, oh, there's so-and-so, there's so. But the wild thing was, everyone's there waiting for the Treasurer and the Minister for Finance to come. Next minute, they walked us influence content creators in to the right of the media wall, and everyone's seeing us walk through and then shuffled in at the back. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was just like, yeah, we're here to take your job. Anyway, so we sat and watched the press conference. Then they took us back upstairs into the lockdown. Then this was the cool thing. Katie Gallagher then came up and sat with us for half hour. And we could just ask her anything we wanted. And you'll see on, my Instagram and in the bonus episode, I asked her about the Hex and Help Debt thing.
Did you have that prepped and did you have things that you wanted to ask? Or
No, it was just, I saw it in the budget, like they are wiping 20% of people's debt or proposing to as a cost of living relief. It's dumb because sure, you'll take it, but it doesn't change. If you've got $100,000 worth of Hex debt or $10,000 worth of Hex or Help debt, if 20%'s wiped, whether it's $20,000 or $2,000,
week to week basis,
you're still getting the same withheld.
Yeah.
So that's what I was questioning that, and she's like, "Oh, we just did it to reduce the debt." I'm like, "Okay, sweet, just say that."
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just cool. We could ask her anything. We asked her heaps about the non-compete clauses. So for example, you know how when you're an employee, you sign a contract and says you got non-compete.
Yeah.
They're pretty much wanting to wipe that. So if you earn under like 115 grand, you can't have a non-compete in a contract.
Oh.
Which is cool, I think. Because if you're a business and you're worried, well, why don't you be so good that your staff doesn't want to leave? And why don't you be secure to know that life will go on?
Yeah.
Anyway. So then I think I forget. It was late. Anyway, so it's 7:30. They said, okay, lockdown's official, or lock up, whatever, is officially ended.
Yeah.
You can come and get your phones. It was like seagulls to chips.
With the content creators
Yeah,
back to their
when we got our phones, like, give me
back to their lifelines.
Yeah. And so then we walked back down to the room. We could post whatever we wanted. We could, do all that stuff.
Yeah.
The embargo has been lifted. Then we went back down to the room downstairs and watched the budget from the room downstairs because we couldn't go into the chamber. And then I think we stayed there for an hour or so, got pizza, which was fun. And then at that point, people were still working in there because, and that was an example. I got the digital team, one of the guys, and thanks for doing this. I had my camera in my microphone.
Yeah. Did other people bring cameras to create content?
Yeah. And because I said, oh, hey, I want to ask Katie a question. And this was the cool thing because there was no thing where they said to us, hey, everyone, can you promote this idea for us? Like there was no, can you carry all this water for us? There was no, these are our 5 key messages for this budget.
Yeah, they're
It was
brief.
literally, come in, here's the details.
Yeah.
And then when Katie Gallagher came in, I basically said, hey, when we asked you, is this on or off the record? Because if it's off the record, well, we won't record anything. We'll just talk freely, all good.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we can go on the record. So I'm like, sweet, got my camera, put my mic in, put a mic up at the end of the desk. And one of the digital team, I said, hey, can you film me asking a question to Katie?
Yeah.
He's like, sweet. He went around there and I'm like, Katie, yep. Answered it. He got the footage and that was the reel that was on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that was, and then, so I was editing that up to get live that evening.
Yeah.
Everyone else was doing their posts and getting all that. And then we went home. I think I got back to the hotel like 9:30 or 10. I was ripping a heap of other audio in prep for the podcast episode. Next morning, be back at Parliament House at 9 a.m. And we then had from 9 till 12, they had us in the same room and they brought in various ministers. They brought in, who was in there? And these were the ones that were on the podcast, Jed Kearney, the Assistant Health Minister and Minister for Women, I think. And it's just like, hey, open book, what do you want to know? And we're like, is this off or on the record? She's like, on the record, sweet. Did all that. So we got to ask her about her corner of the budget. And again, there was no, can you propagate this information? Just, it was cool to have access to people who are passionate about their cause, whether it was Liberal, Labor or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just cool. Then Chris Bowen came in, Minister for Climate Change. Again, another half hour talking about climate change and the stuff that they're doing in the budget. That was on the record, but I recorded something, but I was like, I'm not putting that on the podcast. I wasn't happy with my question and comment. It was taken the wrong way. Then that was cool. Then Tanya Plibersek came in, who is the Minister for the Environment. She did half an hour with everyone, which was also on the record. I didn't put that question up on the podcast yesterday because there was, it was all good, but there was a misspeak. And I said, oh, do you mean that? And they said, oh, can we come back and re-record it with you? I'm like, oh, look, I just won't put it up.
Yeah.
So,
and when you say half an hour, it was like each creator was kind of swapping out with.
No. It was
a round table
minister with all of us in there.
Gotcha.
But creators were coming in and going out and still working on stuff.
Okay.
And the minister was there and you could just ask questions. And there was a couple of senators that came, which were cool as well.
Yeah.
And then within that, and then people were going out to interview, the treasurer or Albo or whatever. Yeah. And then we had organised a time to
Albo or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever.
Just the Prime Minister or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even care.
No, like it's just, I don't know, because it's just so many, like it was just such a hectic day. So within that day, yesterday, got there at 9 a.m, literally from 9 till 12, it was back-to-back ministers coming in talking to us all.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, we can get you 5 minutes each with Albo." I'm like, "All right." Or just a couple of us.
Were you expecting to speak to him?
No. I just said, "Oh, look, it'd be cool. I would prefer Jim Chalmers because treasurer, I'm a money guy, but it's cool." And so and Claire O'Neill as well. She came and did half an hour, and I put that recording up. And again, we said on the record, off the record. She goes, "Oh, no, it can be on the record. Like, nothing to hide. It's all good."
Yeah.
Then we did that, and then they said, "Oh, Glenn, do you want to kind of come and get you at 9:20?" Or it was actually earlier on the day. They're going to come and get you, and you can set up the camera in Albo's media suite or something, part of his office or something like that. It was a separate room. The whole place, if you've ever been there, it's a maze.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
Sounds like it.
identical.
Yeah.
I just think it's.
And then we, so the clips with Albo was me, Tash, and Millie. We got time with Albo. But because it's so hectic there and Parliament's still sitting, the bells are ringing all day because they're getting called to chambers and all that. So we went and we're just like, all right, I'll just set up my camera, leave one mic on him. And so we got there and like, oh, he's actually only got 5 minutes in total.
Oh,
for
all
of us.
three.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like I appreciate it, but so he came in and, oh yeah, hi. So they're like, all right. I said, Millie, can you go first? Because I just want to make sure this camera's in focus and all that. So she went first, like literally 1 minute, all right? Then I went and the reel that I put on Instagram where I asked him about the PhD Vietnamese at Marrickville.
Yeah.
So good. And then I wanted to ask him, and I will play the clip. I wasn't going to air it, but I'll put it up as part of this video, bury it, We've been going for 40 minutes. Oh, gosh.
Well, like a quick 15, 20.
I know. I'll bury it in here. So I want to ask him, like, as a politician, like, forget the budget, what do you want Australia to be within the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah.
And then, because it was so rushed, and I was more nervous because, one, I don't know how to interview a politician. And one thing I am going to work on more is even continue to work on my interview technique, where I load the question too much.
Like you pre-answer it for the person.
Yeah,
I tend to do that too.
I don't know, because I just want a discussion.
Yeah.
And, you'll hear on the podcast yesterday with Claire O'Neill, I'm like, look, I'm just going to say a whole heap of stuff, bit of my feeling and vibe, throw it on the table.
Yeah.
Verbal diarrhea, then come back at me.
Yeah.
And you really need time to do that.
Yes.
But when I've got 2 minutes with him, crappy question. Then he talked about climate change. And then I kind of, I asked the guy about nuclear. I was like, we know what he thinks about that.
Yeah.
Because I'm just
in your head, were you like, this isn't going how I wanted it
well,
to
it was
go?
just because the whole morning was so rushed. Like, we were running late to Parliament House because of traffic. There was it was just like so rushed, like that whole day.
Yeah.
And I'm like freaking out. Is this going to record? We've got 2 minutes. What about climate change? And the first thing came to my mind, I was like, my mind is blown because, like, with this nuclear thing, people were talking about that 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what are we still doing here? Like,
and as you said, in 2 minutes, and then you already spent a minute asking him about Vietnamese food, so you'll actually have 1 minute.
Yeah.
It's like,
so the whole
how
thing,
much nuance can you get?
And that's why I didn't put the questions up on Instagram.
Yeah.
1, because I was crap. 2, because I was crap. And 3, because I was crap and I just don't think it did me or him justice.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I'll play it right now.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I'll go quickly. All right.
Cool. Good.
Yeah, we're keeping it rolling. Hey, quick question. Thanks for your time, Prime Minister. PhD in Marrickville, great Vietnamese. Yes or no?
It is fantastic. Absolutely. Fur tie or fur guy?
I'll
The
take
chicken
anything.
or beef?
I'll go chicken. Yeah.
Yeah, chicken's really good. If you're feeling, I find, if you're feeling a cold coming on or something like that, nothing beats a Vietnamese chicken noodle soup. There's something in it.
You heard it here first. Okay, quick question. We're at budget week, all the things happening. I want to take my audience away from the budget for 5 seconds.
Sure.
As Prime Minister, you have a big job leading the nation. Where do you see Australia in 5 to 10 years? How do we get there? And I'm sure you'll weave in like longer term times, but I think for continuity and consistency, single term governments aren't great. So with all that,
No.
go for it.
Well, they're not great. And the truth is the last 7 elections have produced 7 different prime ministers.
Yeah.
That's not a great thing. You do need stability. So in areas like you talk about by the end of the decade, climate change is absolutely critical. And to do that, you need the mechanisms to stay in place that we've put there that are driving that investment into renewables.
Yeah. And just on that, I know nuclear is a big thing. Is the coalition 25 years too late on actually picking this up? Because I'm, 40 now? They were talking about it when I was 17.
Yeah,
Like, what are we doing?
Every time it's looked at, because it doesn't stack up economically, it gets looked at every decade and dismissed because it doesn't stack up. It's not the cheapest form of new energy, it's the most expensive form. And the real problem isn't just the $600 billion that will be required to produce 4% of Australia's energy needs sometime in the 2040s, it's that the message it will send us to stop the investment that is happening right now. Enough investment in renewables to power 10 million homes already during our term of government. We can't press the pause button.
Well, we will on this little chat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a
That's
quick
red.
10 seconds?
That's okay. Sure.
We're on the go. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, guys. Sorry about the bells.
That's okay.
Adds to some atmosphere for you.
We'll edit
Is
it
that
in
okay
post.
here, Glenn?
Yeah, anyways. You'll have to see it in post, Kayla. But
Yeah.
so then we went back to the room, and then I walked in, and Claire O'Neill was halfway through hers. Then Jed came in, and then Tanya came in. Then Katie came in. There was a bit of a action happening out there, and Penny Wong came in. And she's pretty popular amongst the crew that was there. I think if you're really into your politics and you really potentially are on the left or in Labor world, like, she's your gal. And I liked the fact she was there as well because she's foreign minister, which is a very, very awesome, like, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
So that was awesome to catch up with Penny. I think very switched on, awesome, all that stuff. So Penny was there with Katie. They just sat and chatted with us for like another half hour or so. Then Tanya came back because she had to go because she got called. Like, it was just nonstop from 9 till 12.
Yeah.
I had a 12:30 podcast for my show.
Why did you do that?
Well, I had to get an episode up. So I booked The Economist
Oh, that's
for...
so stress.
Yeah. And then, so between 12 and 12:30... Oh, and so the Penny Wong discussion was off the record. So there was no recording, which is cool. It's really good to talk off the record to politicians and you get a bit of the personal vibe of the side of it. And, hey, what do you really think about this and all that? And there's less kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
pressure.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, this is off the record, but I think this or that. And again, throughout the whole 2 days, there was no like, hey, can you push these 3 key points and all that. So then I had a meeting at 12:30 with Mike for our episode.
Yeah.
Now, because of the hectic day before and the morning, I did a little bit of prep over breakfast that morning for the episode.
Yeah.
About GDP and all that stuff. Then we had to go and then from 12 to 12:30, I had to edit the clip of Albo and the girls to give to them.
Yeah.
I think because it was so far, I think they were just using their phones anyway.
Yeah.
but I wanted to edit that up. I wanted to start to edit the recordings that I had for the second half of the podcast. But by the time I got out, signed out, and then, I had 15 minutes basically by the time I got back to the marble room. Then Mike came. He's like, all right, we've got to go up here.
Yeah.
Get up to into the Channel 9. It was cool. We went through the media gallery.
Yeah, cool.
Which is basically, they call it the media gallery because it's a big long hallway up on level whatever. And all the big media have their like little mini studios and newsrooms and all that for Parliament.
And that's permanent.
Yeah, permanent there. Like that's Channel 7, that's Fox, that's 9, that's ABC.
Does the Daily Oz have one?
No, not yet. But I think Harry does live in Canberra now. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, he spends a lot of time there. So, yeah, went to Channel 9 offices, got there at literally 12:40. And I'm like, sweet, I need 5 minutes to set up.
Yeah.
I'm like, how long have I got? He's like, we need to be done by 1:30.
That was cool that you were able to use their space.
Yeah,
to
well,
record and stuff.
Channel 9 own the AFR, and he's an employee of AFR. So I just said, can you just book us a room?
Yeah.
I was originally going to film it for YouTube as well. So, yeah, 1:45, basically press record.
And you obviously felt quite unprepared for this.
Oh, yeah, because literally I'm not good at pressure. I don't think anyone is, but just full on, like, all right, got to record this, forget the camera. Because I had 2 sets of gear. I had my camera with the Rode lapels, wireless for the camera stuff.
Yeah.
Then I had my traditional media, like my podcast recorder, field recorder, and the microphones.
Yeah.
And then recorded that. And I'm like, all right, sweet.
How do you feel that went? Were you?
I think it was good, and
it?
we had some responses that people liked the episode.
Yeah.
So the thing was, his interview was the first part of the episode. The second part of the episode on the podcast was the recordings in the lockup. So then, effectively, by the time I got out of there, it was like 1:30, and in Parliament House with tethering, because I didn't have any Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah,
the tethering was so slow. The uploading.
Oh, what?
It was
You'd think it'd be the opposite.
Big concrete building, or Telstra at throttle or something. I had a 500 meg audio file. The team are like, have you got the file? I'm like,
waiting.
Yeah, it's coming. And then we then walking down the media gallery, and then I hear, oh, Glenn. I'm like, what? And then I think Olivia from the SMH, she's like, oh, can I grab you for a second? Because at this time, every news outlet had been reporting on
talking about the influencers
being there. I'm like, yes. She goes, have you got time? I'm like, I do, but I've got to, it's 1:45. I've got to exit, like, I got a 2:30 hard exit to get to the airport.
Yeah.
So then I said, all right, I need to wait till this uploads tethering because I need to get the team now.
Yeah.
She's like, well, do you want to grab a drink? I'm like, all right, sweet. So basically, Mike handed me over to Olivia as the chaperone escort.
Oh, yes. Yep.
All right, see you, Mike.
Buddy
Thanks.
system.
Yeah. Then we went down to the Aussies Cafe in Parliament House, which isn't in the public area. It's kind of, behind. So I'm like, oh, so she bought me a Coke, which is nice. I'm like, oh, I could do with a Coke. I've had the beers this day. And I hadn't had any food yet.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. And then I'm like, look, I just need to open my laptop. I can chat with you, but I need to get this stuff uploaded.
Yeah.
It was so slow. And then, she just wanted to ask questions about influencers being at the lockup and all that.
Yeah.
And I said to him, like, yeah, I think it's a good thing. I'm not a journalist and all that. I've disclosed on the post that I've been a guest of. I mean, they just wanted to know, like, and it's out of the news cycle now because it's 24 hours. No one cares anymore. And then I'm like, sweet. Then she escorted me out. It still hadn't uploaded. I'm carrying my laptop and my phone.
Well, but weren't you? Oh, because you were tethered to your. How are you getting internet?
Through my phone
Hotspot.
on my laptop. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And then I waited in the marble area once she signed me out in the public area, trying to get to upload. At this time, I had The Guardian reaching out to me, wanting comment. I'm like, far out.
You are an influencer.
Well, yeah. And anyway, so I'm like, my diary is like in my calendar. I put hard at like 2:30. I put hard 2:30 exit.
Yeah.
It was 20 to 3. I still hadn't left the building to go to the airport.
Stress.
I still hadn't got the thing freaking uploaded.
Yeah.
I still hadn't done the intro after the podcast ad break for my team.
Yeah.
Or sent the clips to the team.
Yeah.
Called an Uber, went to the airport. I'm in the Uber like looking, because I had to record the ministers with my phone. I was just like checking that there wasn't anything that we had to kind of cut out just in case. Got to the airport, went through. Then I got a message from I'm like, I need to eat. I'm starving. And then it was like, what was it? We were boarding at 3:20. At 3:00, by the time I kind of got in and like got a coffee, got a wrap, went down to the gate, chewing my food, recording the intro. So if you are a freak and you're still watching this and you listened to the episode yesterday.
I need to go back and listen to this recording.
The recording after the ad break, I was literally at the airport on my phone. Hey, welcome back. All right, the next 3 episodes of this, doing my recording.
Yeah.
Send that to Sean, send him the reel that I did. I'm like, can you just rip the audio from this and put on that?
Yeah.
Can you do it in this order? Because I produce our shows with the structure in that, and I had to explain what I wanted.
Yeah.
That time, Jess had texted me as well, walking down, sent that. It's 3:15. Jess texts me, hey, the project have just emailed wanting you to come on the show tonight on the project. And I'm like, oh, so literally I'm at the gate. I called the project. I'm like, hey, have you got someone? Or she's like, oh, we have. We've got Millie. I'm like, sweet, awesome.
Yeah.
But I was just so annoyed because I was so back to back all day. If I got back to the project earlier, I could have done the project.
Yeah.
But journalists will get whoever first. And Millie probably did a better job than I could have done anyway because she's actually switched on and intelligent and all that. And at that time, it's 3:20. I'm like the last person to board. I'm like, all right, sweet, got to go. I still hadn't finished the instructions to my team, walking on the tarmac, sitting. I'm like, I'm going to get on the plane. I am just so exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's just a nice flight home. Get on. The person sitting next to me, I knew that I hadn't seen for a while from the industry. I was like, hey, really sorry. I need to like text my team.
Imagine someone sitting on the flight and they're like going through their news app and it's like influencers being paid to blah, 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 blah. And then the last person who they look up and it's you, the person who's held up their flight, a bloody influencer.
Yeah. And then so I said to Trish, I'm like, hey, awesome to see you, but I need to text my team before I lose Wi-Fi. And I'm like, hey, just do it. If you can just get it edited, please. Just have a quick glitch check because we glitch check all our podcasts before they go up. Please get it scheduled to. So this was 3:30 by now. Get it up for a release at 4:30. So we've got an hour to finish the edit, get it glitch checked.
Crazy.
They did an awesome job and they got it up at 4:50.
Shout out to the team.
And then we got home.
Did you immediately just like aeroplane mode on your phone and just checked out?
Yeah. And then it was just such a hectic couple of days, like full on, because I don't know. I think because I don't have a big capacity. Those days, like, it's just a lot for me. And I think everyone is like that. But yeah, like this morning, I had to pick you up from the airport at 11:30. I woke up at 10:30.
Yeah.
Like went to bed at like 10:30, 11. Like I was just so tired.
Yeah.
So it was a full on couple of days.
Try being an influencer for a day.
Well, I'm not an influencer. And I just wanted to do this kind of bonus YouTube for our hardcore audience who wanted the absolute tea behind the scenes.
It's a super cool experience and something that like, do you think they'll do it again next year?
I think they will. And I think one thing I think they were aware, it was like so much overload. So during the lockup, when they had the minute, and like during the lockup, they had people from Treasury come in who were just staff from the Treasury. Just, we can answer questions. They had people come in from Jim's office and answer questions, like off the record stuff. So it was just like nonstop people. And it was like, this is so awesome. And if we've got a minister, a leader of our country, or someone that's speaking to the group, I'm kind of half working, but I didn't want to be, and everyone's in the same position. Like, no one wants to be rude, but it's like, I need to kind of get this half edited. And so it's like, I really couldn't prep much because it was just so full and
Very reactive.
Because I think the difference was this year, the like the ministers, like, I don't believe if there was a handful of journalists, they're not getting half an hour with Katie Gallagher off the record. They're not getting half an hour with the ministers off the record around a table. They're getting the press conference.
Yeah.
So there was that immersion.
Yeah, it's an interesting point with traditional media and this new form of media, because traditional media, the journalists have a job to do. They have someone to report to. So they are asking questions not necessarily based off their own experience or interest, based off the job that they have to complete.
Yeah, it's like impartiality. We've got a journalistic code of ethics. We have to, write this, but get the other side's view and all that.
Yeah. Whereas you were kind of able to just ask
and
whatever you wanted, really.
That's the difference, like everyone in that room, probably, maybe with the exception of Sophie from Equity Mates, although, no, I think she will prepare maybe an email summary. So, like, everyone in that room, or like an experience vibe, everyone in that room, I'm the producer, I'm the host, I'm the content creator.
Yeah.
Like Emma and Tash and Molly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Literally
they
direct to the
You don't
source.
report to anyone.
Yep.
So you can ask whatever you want, whereas a traditional journalist has, they report to someone. They have to think of their best interest, and regardless, there's an unsaid brief.
Yeah.
Even if there isn't a brief, there kind of is.
I did meet Peter Dutton.
Mm-hmm.
That was interesting.
Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, it was awkward and interesting.
Yeah, why was it awkward?
I went on a toilet break and my escort took me.
Yes.
Basically went to the corridor, goes 10 meters there, like there's the toilet, 10 meters down the corridor on the left. Walk out of the door. As I'm leaving the door, Peter Dutton, he's also walking down the corridor, like literally like a zipper, joined him.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Peter. Nice to meet you. Shook his hand and all that. We were both going to the gents.
Yeah. He's like, I just wanted 2 minutes alone.
Yep.
Out of my busy day.
So we both go in, go to the toilet. I come out into the, there's like the basin sink area and then like the second.
Well, I've never been into a.
Well, no, most
gents'
toilets would have.
bathroom.
You go in and there's like 2 sinks and a mirror or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's another door that goes into like where the cubicles are. Do women's toilets have that? Yeah. So I come out, I'm like, get the hell out of here before Peter comes out.
Speedily washing your hands.
Washing my hands. Grab the paper thing. And the paper dispensers, like the big metal ones, the freaking door opens and all this paper falls out. And I'm like, crap, he's coming. And I'm like getting this paper stacked back up, putting it in. He walks out. I close the door. I'm like, oh, it all fell out. He's like, you're wrecking the place. I'm like, anyway, nice to meet you. See you later. So, because there's only us two in there.
Yeah.
So that was my whole experience. It was a full-on couple of days.
How was the pizza?
It's great. It's cold.
Oh.
I did give him that feedback. So this is great pizza, albeit cold.
Yeah.
But it was really good.
Do they serve alcohol in there?
So there's a rule now in Parliament House that there's the parliamentarians can't have alcohol. And this is the weird thing, right? I was talking to an undisclosed person.
Off the record.
Off the record. So it's probably everyone knows this, but so if you work for a newspaper, you're an employee of that newspaper. And that's your office that you have.
Yeah.
You're not under the law of no alcohol.
Okay.
Or the rule of no alcohol.
Yes.
Where ministers and members of parliament can't.
Yes.
I don't believe. So, yeah, so it was a full-on couple of days. I nerded out when we were leaving the press gallery down the lift. Doors open because I watch Insiders every week.
Yeah, did you have a chance to speak to them or
No.
have a chat?
Everyone's doing a job and it's busy as 2 days of the year.
Yeah.
The lift opens, Spearsy's there, Laura Tingle's there, Jane Norman's there, like ABC royalty. And I'm like, oh, fangirl moment.
This is their invite to come on the podcast.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a fun couple of days, and yeah, thanks for asking. Do you have any other questions in this brief 15-minute encounter?
Nah.
Neither.
Covered it all.
Sweet.
Big whirlwind for 72, 48, 32 hours.
It was pretty much
whatever
2
it was.
days, yeah. Because I landed in Canberra the first day at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Because I had to get up early. You know how you get nervous, like I don't want to miss my alarm. I was up at 4:30.
Oh.
So I got to Canberra like 9:30, dropped my bags at the hotel, went and had coffee and brunch with a friend, and it was like 12. And I didn't have to be there till 3. I was like, oh, no, I'll go back to the hotel, had a power nap.
Yeah, good. Sounds like you needed it.
Oh, it was just a full, like yesterday was particularly stressful because I pride myself for always trying to, after budget day, the Wednesday, record an episode and get it up before 5 p.m.
Yeah.
That's my vibe, and the team got it done. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, team. And thanks, Kayla, my co-host of This Is Business. It's a podcast. Go and have a listen. See ya.
Bye.